The Saturdays are an English-Irish girl group based and formed in London, England, UK. The group consists of Frankie Bridge, Foden, Rochelle Humes, Mollie King and Vanessa White. They were formed through Fascination Records, who gave them an instant record deal with the label as well as a subdivision of Polydor Records. As soon as the contract was finalised, the band went on tour with Girls Aloud during their Tangled Up Tour. The group's music style is pop, however throughout their career they have experimented with contemporary R&B, dance pop and electropop. In order to create this music, Wroldsen, Steve Mac and Quiz Larossi have been heavily involved. On July 27, 2008, the Saturdays released their debut single, If This Is Love, which resulted in the band achieving their first top 10 hit. The band released their debut album, Chasing Lights, in 2008 and charted at number 9 on the UK Albums Chart. It was accredited platinum certification by the BPI and also produced 3 more top 10 singles: Euro Up, Issues, and Just Can't Get Enough. Work was also released from the album. The band's first concert tour, the Work Tour, took place in 2009. Wordshaker was released as the group's second album and produced top 10 hits: Euro Forever Is Over, and Ego. After the release of Ego, the band decided to release their first mini-album in 2010, Headlines, which also produced top 10 hits: Euro Missing You, and Higher, which feature guest vocals from Flo Rida. The Headlines tour was the band's second concert tour. Third album On Your Radar was released in 2011, and it also seen the release of 2 top 10 singles: Euro Notorious, and All Fired Up. The album also saw the release of My Heart Takes Over. In December 2011, the band took to their first arena tour, All Fired Up. Live. 30 Days was released as the first single from their fourth album and charted at number 7 on the UK Singles Chart. What About Us was released as the follow-up single from the album and became the Saturdays' first number 1 single on the UK Singles Chart, selling 114,000 copies in the first week of release. Gentleman followed as the band's next single. Disco Love, which went straight in at number 5 on the official UK charts, becoming their 13th top 10 hit. Their fourth studio album, Living for the Weekend, debuted at number 10 on October 20, 2013, becoming their fourth top 10 album. The Saturdays will release their first Greatest Hits album, Finest Selection, The Greatest Hits, on August 11, 2014. It will be preceded by the first single, What Are You Waiting For? The Saturdays have sold over 5 million singles in the UK and Ireland. History, 2007, Formation. The Saturdays were formed in June 2007 after holding auditions to become a member of the group. The group was put together through the record label Polydor Records, which meant they would have an instant record deal and were signed to Fascination Records, a sub-label of Polydor. Big Brother 13 housemate Lydia Scott Lee was in the running to be in the band, but was not chosen in the final 10. The band began recording their debut album while touring with Girls Aloud on their Tangled Up Tour. They were also offered songs which were rejected by Girls Aloud. They said, "We all thought it was a bit of a cheek. Why would we want their rejects? It's bad enough with all the comparisons being made." Whilst on tour with Girls Aloud, the band released their first single, If This Is Love. The song features additional backing vocals from Danish singer Nabeha. The song charted at number 8 on the UK Singles Chart after it sold 14,990 copies in its first week of release. The single was also the second highest new entry of the week behind Katy Perry's I Kissed a Girl, which debuted at number 4. As well as supporting Girls Aloud, the Saturdays also supported the Jonas Brothers at their Hammersmith Apollo gig. 2008-09, Chasing Lights in the Work Tour. Their debut album, Chasing Lights, was released in October 2008 and peaked at number 9 on the UK Albums Chart. Later the album was certified platinum by the British phonographic industry. The last track of Chasing Lights, Why Me, Why Now, was originally a demo by Alex Cartana, but later picked up by the band. The band were often compared to other British female acts such as the Suture Babes and Girls Aloud, however they have been praised for their debut album. Up was confirmed to be the second single from the album, and first studio version of Up premiered on Pop Justice on July 17, 2008 in the form of a short clip, after the group previously performed the song, when it was being recorded, live at various gigs in the United Kingdom. The song then officially premiered in full on August 31, 2008 on BBC Radio 1. On October 19, 2008 Up debuted at number 5 on the UK singles chart with first week sales of 26,593. In turn outbeating and outselling previous single If This Is Love, which debuted at number 8 with first week sales of 14,990. Third single released Issues, which became a commercial success after charting at number 4. Both Up and Issues found themselves gaining a certification of silver by the British phonographic industry. In March 2009 the Saturdays released a cover of Depeche Mode's Just Can't Get Enough for comic relief. The single was a success and charted at number 2 on the UK singles chart and was also certificated silver by the BPI. Work was released as the fifth and final single from the album and was their first single to miss the top 10 on the singles chart. Their first headlining tour, the Work Tour, had 27 dates. McFly's Doogie Pointer, Sanjwad's boyfriend, played bass guitar during Just Can't Get Enough. White tripped on some wires backstage and had a foot injury. She remained seated on stage for some shows. In 2008 and 2009 the Saturdays appeared in adverts for several products including a brand of deodorant, tampons, mobile phones, an operating system, and hair removal products. The band was named as models for hair removal product, Veet. The band later became new faces of major campaign of Impulse women's deodorant. The Saturdays said that fashion is a huge part of the band, saying people look up to them as their icons. Sanjwad stated in an interview with Mail Online, "We aren't models who can't sing. We all sing and we all dance. No one's telling us what to do. We're all different because we're just ourselves and that's the way it should be." 2009 Euro 11, Wordshaker and headlines. Whilst performing on their first headlining tour, the Work Tour, the band started to go back into the studio to record their second studio album in early March 2009, which would be due for release in late 2009. The group performed 2 songs from the recording sessions at the Work Tour, A One Shot, and Wordshaker, which later would appear on the album. The official cover was revealed in a special mailer to fans on the group's official form website on September 23, 2009. The band began working with a number of writers and producers, including Louis Biancani-Lowe, Chris Braid, Jar Paragraph Gen Olofsson, Quiz and Larossi, Steve Mack, Per Magnusson and Norwegian songwriter Einar Wroldsen, who has previously written for the group, as well as working with the Pussycat Dolls, Pixie Lott and Leona Lewis. Forever Is Over was released as the lead single from the band's second studio album and was originally written for former American Idol winner Kelly Clarkson by former Busted star James Bourne and production group The Runaways. The single was also wanted by American pop rock artist, Pink. Forever Is Over charted at number 2 on the UK singles chart. Wordshaker was released in October 2009. The album had almost identical peaks to their first studio album, with the album peaking at number 9 on the UK albums chart and 36 on the Irish albums chart. The album also gained a certification of silver by the BPI. Ego was released as the second and final single from the album, which was written by Steve Mack and Einar Wroldsen. Mack also acknowledged the influence of producer Redun's work with Lady Gaga. Ego charted at number 9 and number 10 on the UK and Irish singles charts and later gained a silver certification by the BPI. The song was released as one of the band's lowest chart-peaking singles. It however became one of the band's best-selling singles to date. The band originally intended not to release any material in 2010, but Rochelle Humes explained in an interview with Digital Spy that they'd come across some songs that they were really excited about. So they wanted to just get everything out, then. We finished Wordshaker and we'd come across some songs that we were really excited about. The songs that we had found were so current, and we'd written a couple of songs ourselves, so we wanted to just get everything out now. The band confirmed that the album would not be a studio album and would in fact be an extended play. The band confirmed to be working with Steve Mac and Ina Wroldsen in the album as well as some new producers. Missing You was confirmed to be the first single released from the EP. Missing You is an electropop song incorporating elements of trance and synth-pop. It was written by Lucas Hilbert and Alexander Knund. The music video was shot at the end of May 2010, in Malaga, Spain and later premiered on June 26 on the group's official website. Missing You entered the UK singles chart at number 3. After Headlines was released, it charted at number 3 on the UK albums chart and number 10 on the Irish singles chart, marking the group's third UK top 10 album and their first in Ireland. Higher was confirmed to be the second single from the EP. After the group's previous single Missing You was beaten to number 1 for a second time by Flo Rida, Wiseman joked that the group would have to record a song with the rapper before they could top the UK singles chart. Then several days later it was confirmed that a collaboration had gone ahead with Flo Rida recording vocals for one of the group's songs. The single charted at number 10 on the UK singles chart and number 11 on the Irish singles chart. 2011 a Euro 12. On Your Radar and All Fired Up. Live, the group announced that they were working on their third full-length studio album in late 2010. While recording the album they worked with a variety of collaborators for the album, including producers Lucas Sekon, Labyrinth Danish pop band, Alphabeat, Theo Cruz, Space Cowboy, Carl Falk, Rami Yaku, and Steve Mac. Wiseman confirmed that the record was different, and fierce. The band promised that their third studio album would be different and they would be taking risks in their music. They announced that their new sound is dance floor music. The band confessed that the album would be a lot sexier, and a lot more R&B than their previous albums. The band confirmed that they have wrote the majority of the album themselves, which makes the album a lot more personal to them. They said that the new album is Euro unregistered trademark SA very cool. The band said their new music was current, fun, naughty, girly, and dancey. Emily Sander Copyright said that she wrote a track for the band which was very dark and a strong ballad. She said that the lyrics are dark and very honest. The first single released from the album was Notorious. The single was released digitally on May 22, 2011 in the UK. The single peaked at number 8 on the UK singles chart and 19 on the Irish singles chart. After the release of Notorious, the band released a clothing line with high street store, Miss Selfridge. The t-shirts with feature lyrics from the band's song Notorious, and Higher with the lyrics on t-shirts saying, "I'm notorious and what you're doing Saturday girl?" Slogan tees. The t-shirts were designed by the band themselves and picked the lyric, S, out themselves. All Fired Up was released on September 4, 2011, which charted at number 3 on the UK singles charts and 6 on the Irish singles charts. It was confirmed that the album would be titled On Your Radar, and the third single released would be My Heart Takes Over. After the conclusion of the Headlines tour, the Saturdays confirmed that they would go on tour again in December 2011, although this time it would be an arena tour, instead of a theatre tour like their two previous headlining tours. They also revealed that they are going to fly during the tour as it is a dream for the band. It was confirmed that the tickets would be released on Monday 13 June 2011 and tour would be titled All Fired Up. Live. There has been 11 dates confirmed, so far. They said it's an arena tour so we're forced to go all out for a big production. Mollie King said that fans should expect a lot of bright colors and brightly colored blocks for the production. The Saturdays later revealed in late June Irish tour dates. The girls confirmed during an interview with Capital FM that their new single, 30 Days would be very pop, amazing, and crazy. The single was premiered on March 30, 2012 on BBC Radio 1's Breakfast Show with Chris Moyles. The video premiered on April 5, 2012. It was further confirmed that the group were working on their fifth album. 2012 a Euro 14, Chasing the Saturdays and Living for the Weekend, the band began work on their fifth overall release, with first single 30 Days released in May 2012 and would serve as the lead single from their upcoming fourth studio album. Rochelle Humes explained the concept of the single, Unregistered trademark essay really amazing, catchy song but the sentiment behind it is being all excited and counting down the days to seeing someone when you're unregistered trademark they really been missing that person. The single charted at number 7 on the UK singles chart, which gained the band their 11th top 10 single. It was announced that the Saturdays had signed to Island Def Jam and Mercury Records to release future music in the United States. What About Us was released as the band's first worldwide single. In order for the band to introduce themselves to the American public, the band released extended play, Chasing the Saturdays, which was released only in America and Canada. The Saturdays also star in a reality series called Chasing the Saturdays which premiered on E! On January 20, 2013. The show features the group trying to make it in America. Upon its premiere in the United Kingdom, Chasing the Saturdays became that week's #1 most watched show with 72,000 viewers, having 10,000 more viewers than Courtney and Chloe copyright Take Miami. After its UK release, it was reported that What About Us was on course to knock Justin Timberlake's Mirrors off the #1 spot on the UK singles chart on March 24. During the midweek charts, the band were 30,000 copies ahead of Timberlake's track. The Saturdays revealed that they were due to call their upcoming fourth studio album The Chase, but decided against the title. They also revealed that they would release another single from the album before the release of it. Aston Marigold tipped the band to be the biggest UK girl group. What About Us charted at #1 on the UK singles chart, gaining the Saturdays their first #1 single, selling 114,000 copies in the first week of release and also becoming the fastest-selling single of 2013. The band sold 40,000 copies more than their nearest competitor to keep them off the #1 spot, which was Timberlake. In March 2013, it was reported that the second track to be taken from Living for the Weekend would be titled Gentleman, with the Daily Mirror reporting that body doubles had been hired to star alongside the 5 girls in the accompanying video. On May 2, 2013, Sunchwood announced through her Twitter account that she and her fiancé copyright, Wayne Bridge, are expecting their first child together. On May 4, it was confirmed that the album's third single would be the previously rumored track, Gentleman. A 15-second preview of the single was posted with the announcement, and the full track received its radio premiere on May 9, 2013. On July 25, the Saturdays confirmed that the next single would be Disco Love. The single was released on October 6. The single charted at #5 on the UK singles chart. On September 4, the album's track list was revealed via Twitter along with the album's title, Living for the Weekend. The album was released on October 14, 2013, and charted at number 10 on the UK album charts, making it their fourth top 10 album to date. The album's fifth single will be Not Giving Up. 2014, Finest Selection, The Greatest Hits, The Saturdays will go on their Greatest Hits Live tour in September 2014, and release Finest Selection, The Greatest Hits with all their singles plus 3 new songs. Sunchwood said during an interview that, "This is not the end." Humes also said, "When we do split up, our Greatest Hits album would be 4 discs long." Vanessa White added, "We hope to release another Greatest Hits album in 3 years' time." On June 14, 2014, it was announced that the first single taken from the album would be titled, What Are You Waiting For? Produced by previous collaborators Xenomania. The music video was shot in Rhodes, Greece and was published online to Vevo and YouTube on June 30, 2014. Other ventures, Filmography. In mid-2008, the Saturdays made a cameo appearance in Hollyoaks Later. The band was featured performing in the episode and were also featured talking to the cast members, their fans. In 2009, they appeared in an episode of BBC TV series Myths, which was their first acting role as a band. He played a singing group called the Sirens in a modern version of The Odyssey, with Una Healy as Python. In 2010, the Saturdays filmed a documentary series titled The Saturdays, 24/7 for ITV2, which witnessed the group touring while promoting the upcoming release of their single Missing You, and recording sessions for their first extended play, Headlines. The documentary had 6 episodes. The band later announced that the show aimed to prove that there is no bitchiness in the band like the papers always rumor. You always see in the papers that me and girls are always arguing, we really don't, and there is no bitching at all. In the first episode of the Saturdays, 24/7 the band were shown gigging around the UK, without King, after she was taken ill after being bitten by a horsefly. The show was a success and later the band confirmed another show, The Saturdays, What Goes on Tour, which was also a 6-part fly-on-the-wall documentary for Channel 4. The program featured the band on tour and what happens on tour with the band and promotional activities including beginning to record their 3rd studio album. It also showed the band traveling a lot. The Saturdays then appeared in an episode of Ghost Hunting with towards then end of 2010, in which Yvette Fielding guided them through haunted locations. The Saturdays later released a DVD of them performing on tour, titled The Saturdays, Headlines Live, which was only included with the deluxe fan edition of On Your Radar. Before the band, Frankie Bridge and Rochelle Humes were regular cast members in children's musical television comedy, I Dream, where they appeared along with their band members from S Club 8. The program, aimed at teenagers, which aired in 2004. It was set at an esteemed performing arts college near Barcelona, Spain, and focuses on 13 youths who are invited to enroll at the college, Avalon Heights, over the summer. Mollie King appeared on The X Factor as a solo act and in a band in a bid to find famous singer. Vanessa White made common appearances on Almost Famous as well as a Cheese Strings advert. It was announced that the band were in talks with a number of different American network television programs in order to broadcast a reality television series, which would feature the band's day-to-day lives. It was later announced that the band had signed a contract for their show to be shown through E! And their program would be titled Chasing the Saturdays. All of the members of the Saturdays have appeared on the BBC Three late-night panel show Sweat the Small Stuff. Humes was a regular panel member in Series 1, and a team captain in Series 2. In the second half of Series 1, Rochelle was on maternity leave, and each of the other Saturdays replaced her in the later episodes. Endorsements. In 2010 the Saturdays each contributed their part to a book The Saturdays, Our Story and Autobiography which was released on October 25, 2010. The book was written with a ghostwriter and published by the Transworld imprint Bantam Press. The band also began a book signing tour starting at W. H. Smith in Blue Waiter. The book gives an insight into the world of each band members, where they explain the success with the band and before their lives in the band. They also talk about their love life, their friendship within the band and a personal insight before they found fame. They give fashion and beauty tips throughout the book and gossip accompanied by photos from each other band's own collection. The Saturdays became the new face of hair removal product, Feet in 2009. In 2010 the band became the face of Impulse, a women's deodorant. They become ambassadors for Nintendo 3DS game, Nintendogs Plus Cats prior to the release of their 3rd studio album, taking over from Girls Aloud. The band also worked with fashionist A to release a new brand of nail varnish, which was launched in Superdrug. Philanthropy. All 5 of the members have been involved in charity work. The Saturdays released a cover of Depeche Mode's Just Can't Get Enough. The single was released on March 1, 2009 in aid to 2009's Comic Relief. The song debuted at number 2 making the band the first artist to miss the number 1 spot with a Comic Relief single. However, the single outsold the original version. The Saturdays later changed to Yellow Tabards and they toured London's Westfield shopping mall with buckets and asked customers to part with their cash. The Saturdays have supported Marie Curie, which provides nurses to help care for people with terminal cancer. King and Wiseman appeared on the 24 March 2012 episode of the £1 Million Drop to raise money for Marie Curie, leaving with a £5,000 consolation prize after missing the 8th and final question. The band also have done a charity gig for Sport Relief. The band went on to become supporters of Elton John's charity, Elton John AIDS Foundation. They also went on to do a charity gig with other artists for Help for Heroes to raise money for injured British soldiers. Vanessa White and Rochelle Wiseman went to Africa in order to support Sports Relief 2012. Artistry, musical style. The Saturdays' music is pop, but throughout the band's career they have experimented and recorded R&B which features styles urban, contemporary and dance pop. The band have also recorded synth pop. To create the music, the band have closely worked with Wroldsen, Quiz and Larossi, Louis Biancani-Lowe, Steve Mac throughout their career. Their first album was described as sassy, modern, chart-ready pop is more straightforward than most Girls Aloud singles and younger than the music Such a Babes are now recording. Petridis of Olmasic described Wordshaker combining aggressive basslines and vocals that are a pinch of prowess, and praised the catchiness, that the songs can't be denied. And said if anything, the girls are showing even more confidence this time around, and said that the album was a fresh sounding. Later, when the band released their first extended play, Headlines, critics said offers a tantalizing glimpse of what to expect from the group's next album proper. Others said that the band were assert a more serious side of their personality packs a pop punch, and complimented the sheer swooning, girly drama of Died in Your Eyes and a Fasty Edge, and concluded by calling the album short but sweet. Influences. The Saturdays' debut album, Chasing Lights, takes influence from a number of genres such as synthpop, power pop, and new wave. The album also takes a big electropop and dance pop influence. Upon the release of the album, it was compared to Girls Aloud, Such a Babes and Spice Girls. However, the band refused to accept that their music had comparisons. The band's debut single, If This Is Love, features elements of synth-pop and new wave genres. Many critics pointed out that they believe that the band's music would appeal more to the gay community. However, the band's music has taken criticism from some. Sir Elton John labelled the band's music crap, and stated that he could hardly tell the difference between Girls Aloud's music and the Saturdays' music. Upon the release of the second album, Wordshaker, the band released a pop-rock track, Forever Is Over. The album was also said to be a laid-back electro-poppy offering that recalls the more subdued moments from their debut album. Talking about the album and the single Ego. We were searching for sounds and found the basic hook sound fit a Euro unregistered trademark S in the verse and carries all the way through. I started playing along to it and then Ina started singing along, and the song was written over that. No drums were ever put down. Headlines was released in 2010, which was the band's first extended play on the EP. The band have made use of auto-tuning on their vocals, most notable on Missing You, and High. They said about the music on Headlines. We finished Wordshaker and we'd come across some songs that we were really excited about. The songs that we had found were so current, and we'd written a couple of songs ourselves, so we wanted to just get everything out now. The synth-laden Higher has become an instant fan fave following recent live performances and, with its infectious chorus and super sassy lyrics. With third album on Your Radar, the group said they were beginning to take risks in their music genre. They said, I think every artist needs to, sort of, reinvent themselves and we'd only a Euro unregistered trademark T want any track to sound like it could have been on our previous albums. ETA Euro unregistered trademark S going to be a step up from the last album but we Euro unregistered trademark LL keep it the Saturdays-esque. The band described the song's lyrics as playful with a dropout chorus, and the song is often labeled ETA Euro unregistered trademark SA very cool by the band. They described their album as current, fun, naughty, and girly. Notorious was described by critics big, and that it was quite amazing. Their new music was also compared to Rihanna, the Black Eyed Peas and Kelly's music. The Saturdays also teamed up with MNEK and Space Cowboy in order to help them to record club bangers. All Fired Up is an electro house and dance pop track. Britney Spears, Rihanna, Adele, John Mayer, Katy Perry, Bianca Copyright and Kelly Rowland are all influences to the group. Discography. Concert tours, see also, List of the Saturdays songs, List of artists who reached #1 on the UK singles chart, References. External links, official website.